What's a good example of I am wise, but I'm compassionate?
You can't discard your emotions. You can't discard anger. Like this will happen naturally. But how are you using it? Is it controlling you? Or are you using it as a tool?
Welcome. Before we start, I would like you to stop what you're doing, take a big breath, deep breath, and in. Hold it. All right, now I'm going to tell you a story. I'm just kidding. And now breathe out. Okay, welcome back to Koi's in a Pond. Today's Koi, he's a familiar Koi. His name's Yin. He's back. Our favorite guest of all time. We like to talk about some deep stuff. And today, we're just going to kind of go through a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of, reality, a little bit of something. We'll figure it out as we go. We're gonna cruise along. So, Yin, how are you doing?
Good.
Oh, yeah?
How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm doing all right. I think today's going to be pretty chill. We're going to just explain what is mindfulness. What does that mean? And go.
For me, I feel mindfulness is like awareness, right?
Okay, how do you describe awareness now? Like break it down like completely.
Being able to like pinpoint something, like concentrate on something.
Would you say using your senses and noticing what your senses notice or whatever?
That's a good way to put it.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I've heard multiple different definitions of what mindfulness really is. Because let's say you're a person that lives through your own, what is it called?
Thoughts?
Like you're a person that lives in their head for the most part,
Yeah.
and are only aware and paying attention when you really need to, but you're not really paying attention. You're just living habitually, because there's a difference. Like let's say you brush your teeth, you're not really thinking about brushing your teeth. You're just doing it, right?
Yeah.
Mindfulness means being in your body, not your mind. Even though it says mindfulness, obviously you can explain it as, your body and your mind.
Yeah.
Just being in there, right? Here's an example. If we take a deep breath in and we just pay attention to the air that's going in and how it feels, that you're already connecting your mind to your body.
Yeah.
So you're already mindful because you're paying attention to that one thing that's connected to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
With mindfulness, there's so many things you can really pay attention to, right? Like what would that be called for you? Like object of meditation?
Yeah. So there is a meditation on the breath. It's called Anapanasati. And it's a 16-step meditation developed from just focusing on the breath.
16? Do you know all 16 steps? Oh, what?
Yeah.
Wait, why are there 16 steps? Why so many?
I think this meditation technique was taught by the Buddha in the past, and it was just like 16 steps of like how far that this meditation on the breath can really go,
Oh, like the levels?
Yeah.
Like do you know level 1 or level any?
Well, level 1 is like being like, when your breathing is in and out, it's like slow. Like how does that affect your body? And when it's long, how does that affect your body? How does it affect your mind? How does it affect your body? So the longer that like we practice like meditating on any object is like, your breath, sound, a certain thought. If it's a thought that's like, it's called visualization.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about it? Visualization.
Or like being able to hold a certain like image in your head, or like a sound, right? Or your breath. How long can you hold it is like how you develop concentration.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like what is it called? Trying to keep something balanced on your fingertip, because it's so easy to lose that balance at any point, because that's how how frantic our minds can be, right? Like your mind could easily go from like, oh, I'm breathing, and now I'm thinking about what happened yesterday, and now I'm thinking about whatever, and then you're like, oh shoot, I need to go back to the finger, back to the center, you know. But mindfulness is pretty interesting, because I hear about it a lot when it comes to how can I improve my daily life. Why do you think that mindfulness is the solution to people's problems in their daily life? Like, why do you think that's a thing?
If you think about it, like, without being aware, you can't really change habits. You know what I mean? You have to be able to notice a habit. Like, for example, when we sit in stillness meditation, we're sitting still and we're noticing things about like changes or feelings in the body, for example, right? Or in the mind, or how you react a certain way. And the more that you become aware throughout your, daily living, the more you can see that, okay, this habit is affecting people or myself in a not so wholesome way. And then there are some that affects people wholesomely. It's like, oh, okay, I can choose to do this action or not, like fixing habits or reactions. So I feel like awareness and mindfulness is just like that beginning tool. How strong your awareness is how much more you have control of your daily living.
Yeah, that's a tough one too, because when you don't understand what mindfulness and awareness is, it's hard to even get to the practice part of it, right?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, the practice is the thing that you need to kind of be aware of. Like literally the practice is you being aware, but then for so many people, they find it like, what am I actually doing? What is the point? Whatever. That's why I ask, like, how does it help, right? And how does it get people to a point of like from frustration to understanding, like, it's not about the thoughts. It's not about really what you feel. It's more about, are you paying attention to all these things that you feel and think and whatever, you know? Because that's where I think it really lies. Because when I practice, I think about what am I thinking about, right? I think about my thoughts. I do think about how I feel. And then I notice a lot of times where I can feel like every single part of my body. And then I go, wait a minute, I'm too attached to the feeling of my body. And now I have to go back to like, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to achieve again? And then I ask myself, like, what's the point of being present again? And then, oh yeah, that's right. Just to be present, or just to go back. Like, that's what I think the exercise has kind of taught me, is like, don't stick to one thing. Just keep observing what's happening and where your mind actually tends to gravitate towards. Because sometimes your mind just defaults and goes, oh, let's think about this, or let's look at that, or let's whatever. So you have to watch it do that, kind of. It's a little weird. It reminds me of like, you know how Gundam, there's a mecha suit, and then there's the pilot. I think most of the time we think we're the Gundam, but we're actually the pilot. But people forget. They think that, oh, I'm just this big suit of armor and I have all these weapons in it. But no, really, you're the guy that's controlling the Gundam. So you got to remember that you're him, not the thing. I think that's like a pretty good analogy. Same thing with like playing video games too. Like, we control a lot of characters and we play. And it's really easy to get lost and pretend like you're that person, right? Which I don't think is a necessarily bad thing. Do you think so?
I guess it all depends, like what's the goal of being aware if it's not to bring you peace, right? Like happiness in your life. So like sometimes like, it's very easy to get caught up in life. Like sometimes like, dude, I'm hiking, for example, right? Or like I'm out in the ocean. Like there's no way for me to be in my thoughts. Like I'm just present, like, cause you hear the sound of the waves, or you hear the rustling of leaves, or like things like that. And you're just like caught by that, and you're brought out like to the present, and you don't really need to like have a goal. You just being present actually brings you a lot more peacefulness. You know what I mean?
I wonder why that is, huh? Like, what is it about nature and the simplicity of the sounds that make people go like, I don't want to think about anything. Let me just reset. It's like an auto reset because I've heard this from my friends too. They always say like when you hear a person that's always working and lives in the city, always surrounded by noise, when you hear them talk about hiking, they always go, "Oh, yeah, I want to go hiking because I want to reset from my regular life." And that reset is, I think what you're explaining is like, oh, you're just being present. So that tells me that most of the time people's daily lives, they're not present if they're just like swallowed up by their work or like surrounded by so much stimulus that they're just shutting it all out, you know? Because I know people that there's too much to absorb sometimes, and so it makes you want to zone out, almost like disassociate, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy how powerful that can be, even though it's so simple. You're just removing noise and going back to nature, and that's kind of like the peace, right? But then okay, so now let's say you don't have access to nature. Let's say you don't have access to these things. How can you still find the peace in it?
I feel like if you have like space, right? Like your room, for example, just even like practicing like 15 minutes when you like leave your house, when you come back, like right when you come back, just sit in peace, in quiet for 15 minutes. Be mindful, right? Be aware. Practice or like a new habit of just like being still for a little bit, or resting or laying down and giving yourself like 15 minutes to start off. Like that even just allows you to kind of like start to reset.
Yeah, definitely sitting helps. So now I want to throw a challenge at you. Like, let's say you live in a house, you don't have a room, or like, let's say you're like a person that just has the worst circumstances and they're going through a lot of suffering. They're going through a lot of like problem. I got to pay the bills. I got kids. I like just so many struggles that you don't have time, or they think they don't have time to just sit down. Like, how do you teach, or how do you explain peace to someone that's going through so much like that?
Even if we're just like standing still, like just, or not even like you're just standing, just by focusing on the breath and just having them like, you know, just let's say you and I are sitting here together like one-on-one, right?
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, let's just do like, you know, 10 quick, you know, it's only 10 quick like breathing, like deep breaths, right?
Yeah.
Like even that will start to help them, to allow them to kind of like slow down just for a little bit. And that's, if you don't have time, like, you know, you gotta try to make time somehow, you know what I mean? Even if you're just standing there, like breathing there's no time for breathing. You're always breathing. If you don't breathe, you're
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense, because it's interesting, because the perspective really isn't about, do I have time? The reality is you've always had time. You've always been breathing. You've always been walking. You've always been doing whatever. But because you're so focused on the problems, you forget that, oh yeah, I need to go back and breathe. Like that, because you can, because here's how I see it. Like, let's say I'm having a busy day and I have so much to do, whatever. I don't have time to sit down and meditate. So what I started practicing is, while I'm working, while I'm doing things, while I'm in the middle of it, is when I'm meditating. Because whatever the task is, if I'm editing a video, let me just be fully present in editing this video and fully aware that I'm breathing, get up and stretch, whatever. Like, I'm still trying to practice my meditation while I'm working, while I'm whatever, right? Because it still counts, don't you think?
Yeah, it definitely does.
Okay.
Have you seen like those YouTube videos where like successful businessmen, for example, like they wake up like super early? Why do they do that? Because at that time is when like the world is really quiet, where they're at, you know, like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock. Monks, they meditate and they wake up around that time because everything around them is a lot more still, you know, in the community.
Wow, that's an interesting time, actually, because I only started waking up early recently, and I do notice, like, it is a lot more quiet, and it does feel like you're alone in a way, but at the same time, it's kind of nice because you know, like, you're just not ahead of everybody, but more so of like you get to watch everything develop over time. Because like if you wake up and everything's quiet, you get to see, oh, so and so is up.
Yeah.
This is up. Oh, this show is starting, or this restaurant's opening, or whatever. Right? You're just ahead of and watching everything open. Because that's how it is. Like when I wake up, I have like 0 text messages, but then as every hour goes by, it's like, oh, so and so is texting me, and then people start to be more alive. You get to see the world wake up, which is really interesting. Okay, so I have this book. Do you know how to say his name?
Họ thường Thich Nhat Hanh.
Thich Nhat Hanh, Vietnamese dude. Rest in peace. I think he was born in like 1920s. He's a monk, right? Or was a monk from a long time ago. And he writes these books about Buddhism, meditation, mindfulness, everything that we talk about. I got into this just by chance. Like I randomly would just look up books and then I come across this. And I've been kind of listening to his audiobooks and just reading, but then he mentioned this book. It's called Transformation and Healing, Sutra on the 4 Establishments of Mindfulness. Okay. And basically what it's describing is the exercises, the practices, like the actual steps of what you need to do to achieve mindfulness, which is interesting to me because the more you understand what mindfulness is, you realize like, oh, it's actually way simpler than all these steps, but I'm still going to read it just because I want to learn more about it. But then the essence of it is supposed to be simple, right? Like when you really break it down, like it's not about trying to force yourself to be calm or trying to force anything. You're just watching. It's like watching TV kind of, but you're more in tune with it,
Yeah.
So with your practices, do you try to keep it simple too?
There's like a metaphor for this too.
Okay.
Like, like for example, right? There's 2 metaphors I'd like to bring up actually. The first one is that they teach that like, oh, the Buddha taught 84,000 Dharma doors, right? Like, or
what
techniques.
Is a Dharma door?
So it's like a teaching or a technique that you can practice to, like reach this state of enlightenment or like, I don't know how far that or how to explain those, obviously. But there's another one too, like Bruce Lee's like, oh, don't look at my finger, the finger's pointing at the moon kind of thing.
Oh, I remember that one. Is that really a Bruce Lee quote?
I don't know actually.
I heard that in one of his books, actually. Yeah. He says he has his finger pointing to the moon, right? And he says, don't look at my finger, look at the moon. But most people, when they practice or when they're doing stuff like that, they're looking at the thing that they're not supposed to be looking at instead of just looking at wherever. Like you're looking too far into your mind. I think that's a good example is, let's say you're trying to understand your mind, but you're using your mind to try to understand yourself. So you keep going in this loop of like, what am I trying to get? Like, what am I trying to achieve? Where am I trying to go? But you realize like you've just been in here the whole time. You never actually did anything out here, which is where it matters, because back to the whole mindfulness brings peace is like, how does that even look like if you're always in your head? That's why I think it's funny that it's called mindfulness, but it's the opposite. You're out of your mind. You're out here. You're living in the world and less in your mind than anything, which isn't that funny how it's called that? Do you remember a time where you weren't mindful at all?
No,
like,
definitely.
Do you remember a time where like you didn't know anything about like Buddhism? You didn't know anything about reality. You were just in your, what is it called? A state where like, I wasn't here before, but like now once something unlocked, you were like, oh shoot, I didn't realize that I was living like this. Like, do you know what that transformation looked like for you?
Yeah, it was actually during our dancing years.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about that.
So like, when I was growing up, right, I was having a lot of problems at home. I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. And I remember, like all of us getting together at Regal's and like, or going to your house in the backyard, like your old Can's backyard house.
Yeah.
And back then when we were able to actually like, go out there and like dance, right? You kind of forgot about everything. But here was the difference though. Like I didn't notice like how much stress and how much stuff I was going through when I was, a young adult, right? Mm-hmm. And being able to just like dance and having the music actually put you at a state where you're kind of like, dude, you were really focused and aware of the present moment, and nothing else was really like bothering that. And you would be able to maintain that for, obviously a certain like
a
time
set.
till, a whole set, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't aware that I was being aware until like later on.
Yeah.
Like when I actually started developing like meditation, started actually spiritual training from my, mid 20s, early 20s, all the way to like now to my 30s, right? I realized that there were pockets where I was actually aware, even in the space of not being aware, right?
That's
like
kind of weird, yeah.
My childhood, I would say that I was very like unaware. I was very full of like imagination.
When you're not dancing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like even younger than that, like I'm saying like elementary, like there's all these times where like, you're always thinking, like imagining stuff, like playing cops and robbers, like there's plenty of times where like your imagination's always there. But then like, how did you start to eventually like fade out of that? Or if you did fade out of it at all?
You think that the moment it clicked, you were like, should I just live how I live now or let it be? Because you know how you have a choice of like, do I want to maintain the state where I'm always aware of everything, looking at everything, or should I just let myself be? And because as a child would be, it's like, let their imagination run loose, have fun, live life, not a care in the world. Do you think that's something important that you want to keep in your adulthood now that you're aware of all of that? Or would you just rather have it be like, I just want to live in the now, the present, and that's it? It's like red pill or blue pill,
I feel like it's always good to have a balance, maybe half of each pill, right?
Oh,
like
nobody ever gave us that choice, huh?
Red or blue?
Both.
Yeah, both.
Yeah. Well, what does that even look like? How do you even know? See, that's the thing. If you weren't aware that you were aware before, like, how is that going to affect you now? Because now you're going to be thinking about it. You're going to be, no matter what, you're going to catch yourself, right?
Yeah.
So how does that even work? Like, how does that balance even look like?
In the temple, we were, there are times where we're studying, right? There's times where we're like chanting. There's times where we're meditating. There's times where we're doing field work, right? And like cooking for like the community or whatever, right? And these are day-to-day things of how it looked like in a temple. But there are also times where like, like the monks, we would get together and we would like play ball, for example, right? Like just playing basketball. Like we had a hoop, and we just wanted to keep our energy going, like keep healthy and everything. Cause not all the time do you want to be like doing this or that, like, and getting stuck at doing one thing, cause you got to maintain the body as well. But I felt like we were still having, joyful times and like, going out and actually just enjoying being present, but like that's still having that kind of like imagination, a little bit of fun. And it felt really balanced.
Dang. That's cool. I didn't know monks play basketball. Do you guys, okay, what's the one thing that people don't know about monks that you won't expect?
I mean, like we're really good handymen. Or like, we're when I entered temple, we were taught a lot of different trades because you're supposed to learn how to basically live on your own. You're supposed to learn how to cook, right? Obviously, we're cleaning every day, right? And we're always being mindful of where dust is that we don't pay attention to, right? Because they say that like in the monastery, the elder monks, they used to go around, right? They'll find a place where you forgot to like dust. They'll go like this, and like, that's how your cultivation is still weak. Because our awareness at that level, we weren't aware of wherever we cleaned, right? Like, dude, think about it. If something right here in front of you or like on the side is not clean, how hard is it to change a habit in your mind that has been there forever? Dang. How can you be aware of those little details in your meditation or your awareness when it grows, deepens, right? How can you find it if this certain part right here, you still walk by it every day and you don't notice how dirty it is though?
Dude, that's a trip. Yeah, you know what? That brings me back to a memory when I was little. You know how Asian parents would punish kids? Like you either kneel against the wall or they make you do chores or something, right? My dad, every time I got in trouble, or I don't even know if I got in trouble, I don't even remember what I did, but he would make me go around the entire floor and pick up dirt, whatever, trash, and put it in my hand, and as I go along and like throw it away and continue until the whole floor is like spotless. And this was carpet, so things get stuck in carpet, right? But I remember like it was almost like cleaning mindfully, because I paid attention to like every little thing, because then my dad would point out, look, there's a speck of paper right there you missed, and I'm like, oh shoot. And so doing that as a kid, I was like, oh my God, I never knew how many little things were on the floor that I never paid attention to before. But then I took that type of cleaning method and I still do that till this day. I have a cat, right?
Yeah.
And man, when cats jump out of their litter box, the litter just goes everywhere, right? I was like, man, I'm going to get a litter mat. It didn't solve the problem. So the thing is, I would sweep my floor almost every day, and like, it's this broom. Okay, so my room it's like a normal size room. It's kind of like what, 200 square feet, 300. I don't know how big it is, but I don't use a big broom because it's so easy to miss the little spots with a big broom, right? I use a small little dustpan with a brush, and I go on the floor of my entire room and I do this. I go left. All right, turn the corner. Go right. Yeah. I do every spot.
It's like a
every spot.
temples in Japan.
You
remember seeing the movies?
You get the rags and you go like that. This. And the thing is, I enjoy doing it. I'm like, oh my God, this is so like, I feel like Zen, you know? Like I'm just here cleaning my room and I'm getting every single speck of kitty litter. Like,
you know why they clean like that?
Why?
Why do you think?
Because it slows down time and you get to be there longer. That's what it feels like. Because you know how like kids that hate doing chores because, oh my God, this is taking forever. For me as an adult, I'm like, cool. I get to live this moment a little longer, like enjoy my time a little longer because I'm here present, cleaning one little thing at a time. I'm making this moment last longer than it should. That's my answer. What is it really?
How do you feel when your room is like, you know, you just got the laundry, right? And then you just went to your room, you're about to fold it, and you just take all your laundry and you like
dump it,
right? So it's on your bed right now. And then, oh no, a phone call happens, right? And then you're like, oh crap, I gotta actually go somewhere. And you come back.
And it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there, right? And then all of a sudden, like, you're like, oh dude, I just realized that I need to turn in this project like real quick in an hour. So you start working. And then eventually like stuff starts to pile up, or like you're still not getting to it. It's still in the back of your head too.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like, how does that start to make you feel?
Definitely. Let me try to recall a moment where that's happened. So that's definitely happened, but not to that extent. What happened was I would like to do my laundry while I'm doing other stuff, right? Because it's like you just leave it in there and then it cleans itself and you go whatever, right? So I had this moment where I would dump my laundry on my bed, turn around, go on my computer and just play games. And then it's like getting late, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, dude, we're still playing. And then I forget about the laundry. And I'm like, all right, I'm sleepy. Time to go to sleep. Turn off my computer. Turn around. I'm like, oh, crap. I didn't do any of that. You know what I do? I just put it aside. I push it aside. And I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll move it. But yeah, sometimes I just go, whatever. I'll just fold it, right? So it doesn't really bother me. I just do it later. But there is that sense of like, oh crap, I was not mindful and I did not remember or whatever it is. But I try not to be too hard on myself because I chose to ignore it, right? As opposed to like looking at it and beating yourself up and that for what? Like it's just laundry, you know what I mean? I at the end of the day, when stuff like that happens, I try not to just make it a big deal because I know that I'll eventually get to it, right? And usually, here's a hack. if I know I'm going to be distracted and I have laundry, I just get all my t-shirts, because that's what I care about the most, because the t-shirts get wrinkled, right? So I just flatten them out and I stack them flat, flat, flat. So it's like folding halfway. And then I go on the computer, do whatever. And then when I turn around, I go, oh crap, I forgot to fold it. It's okay. It's all straight. I'm just going to take the stack of t-shirts, put it on my chair, and then go to sleep. Like, that's my method.
I've done that before.
Yeah. Because it's like, you just try your best. Like, you don't have to beat yourself up when you forget something, because that's where it starts to spiral. You start to build this negative cloud over what? Laundry. It's just laundry, you know? Or it's more so about building up a cloud of negativity over yourself for forgetting, right? I think that's what it really is. Like, you're really beating yourself up because you forgot. But then at the same time, you never practiced like mindfulness, or you never practice trying to get these things in order. So of course it's going to happen. Your habit's going to keep coming back unless you try to fix it, right? But then at the same time, some people don't see it as a problem that they need to fix, right? I think that's where the key really is like, habits are there and people will see the habit, they'll notice the habit, and part of them is going to want to change it. And then there's the other side of it that's like, it's not that bad. And then they go, boop. So why is that?
There's like two relations here too. Like, if you live, like, for example, in a temple, right? Like, when you clean, it's because you're in a community. It won't affect you, but it might affect somebody else. Now, like, let's say you're by yourself, and then you realize that, like, there's two things too now. There's also for personal, right? There's like the messiness and the clean. Like, the clean, obviously, like, okay, now it's fresh. There's like, you know, energy is like flowing fine through like your space, right? And you feel more at peace. But then there's also like what you're talking about right now, how like, if it's messy, why is it bothering me? Is it because I'm being attached to that it has to be clean? Or is it okay, can I be at peace if it's clean or if it's not clean? Like, there's like two levels. But for temple, definitely, they're cleaning everything because, one, it's teaching you to be, whenever you're mindful that you're cleaning, to remember that what we're really trying to clean is up here. You know, using your awareness to clean habits of yourself that is like affecting people or yourself like unwholesomely.
What's the thing that you're trying to clean? Like, because it's your mind, obviously, but what about your mind is it that's dirty? Like, let's say, for example, with the laundry example, obviously in the physical world, the laundry is there, it's undone, it's unfinished, but that is something that our minds made as a category to label it and go whatever. But what's really the thing that you're trying to clean? Like, what is it that you're trying to pinpoint?
Honestly, like, if I can go back to like the Gundam metaphor, right? Like, the pilot himself or herself, they're already like, you know, clean, right? The dirt from the outside never got to it. It's always been like that.
They're always protected, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's just because like we've been using, like, for example, right? We've been using AI in the Gundam now. We've just been sitting there and letting AI do, or like, you know, like run their protocols or do things. It's like for you to kind of like learn how to take back control so that you can choose the action or the thoughts or the words that you want to say without having the reaction automatically do it for you.
It's almost like a recalibration. It's similar to like, yeah, I guess it is kind of like cleaning up a mess up here, but it sounds to me more of like you're reprogramming yourself to go back to like, oh, I need to be in control again or whatever, right? So is it because that's where you're most free, or that what is the reason? Why do you need to be in control?
Definitely like choice, right? Because like in Buddhism, we believe in karma. Negative actions have negative consequences, right? Positive actions have positive consequences. Or, you know, like return or whatever, right?
Is there also the case, sorry to interrupt, is there also a case of positive action, but then later negative reaction?
I feel like
does that happen?
I feel like it's so like complex that there are complications like that too, because there are stories of like, you know, negative actions bringing positive, right? Or vice versa, or it having both, because it affected this person this way, it affected the other person that way.
Yeah, it's never black and white, you know. So that's another interesting. But go on. What were you saying about karma?
So like, because we believe in karma, and because like, you know, obviously like with Buddhism being like, you know, like having certain morals like other religions as well, it's like we want to just be aligned to that, to bring not only peace to ourselves but to others. And that's like, you know, part of our vow of compassion, for example. So that's why we want to be in control. It's just because like for us, we want to live in a certain way, you know, bringing certain happiness and peace to others that we care for, and you know, or people we don't know.
Yeah, I always thought about that too, because I like the idea of being compassionate, being loving, being caring, being positive, all that, right? I like the idea of it. And then when I try to kind of fit it into my life, like obviously it's easy for me because I'm a nice person, right? Whatever. But then it gets to a point where like I start to feel sometimes being too positive or too loving, too compassionate, where you're kind of going overboard in a way. It could also have a negative effect on people too, because some people might take it as like, oh, why are you trying to be such a good person? Why are you trying to be perfect all the time? Whatever. I think about that a lot actually. And I'm like, how does it make sense in this modern time? Because now what I see is sometimes people like to present themselves as, I'm a good person. They like to do nice things. They like to do whatever to give themselves good points. But really, you can tell the intention is like they're just doing it so people will like them, right? They're just doing it to get something or whatever. There's like, it's really creepy because like sometimes people come off as nice, but then you start to realize like, oh, they're just trying to get to a place, you know? So that's why I think it's kind of hard to balance. Is like, let's say you are a practicing Buddhist or you're any religion, right? You just want to be a good person. Sometimes you could be hated on just for trying to appear good because there's this thing called virtue signaling. Like, why are you like blah, 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 fighting for this person? Why are you trying to be a good person, but you're not even whatever, right? So that's like the part that you have to kind of tiptoe in these days.
Wow,
now,
that's the first time I've heard of that term.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, for example, like, I don't like to talk about politics, but like, there's a lot of times where things happen and then people on social media will go, oh yeah, fight for this, blah, 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 blah. But they're not really doing anything. They're just appearing to be a positive person, appearing to be good. And like, I actually care, but then nothing is changing. Nothing is being done or whatever. So their intention was good, or maybe it wasn't, I don't know. But then nothing's really happening. So that's what it's called. Yeah. I think is a problem because then you're not really yielding the positive result that you want, because now more people are going, that's whack, you're just pretending. I think in order to practice like true compassion or really caring is like, you got to be real with yourself, you got to be real with the other person, you know. And obviously the negative and the positive kind of matters, but what I think matters is the result, what happens after. Then it'll determine whether your action was negative or positive, right?
Yeah.
Because like you could say something mean to somebody and bully somebody, right? Or just say something that's harsh, but it's truthful. It's reality. This is really what's happening. And obviously there's a way to approach it, to say it, where you minimize the damage. I think that's the goal. Minimize the damage, but still get your point across to somebody, right? Because then you know, because you practice, you know that this is going to bring the positive result to them, right? But how will you know unless you experience, right?
Yeah.
Like what is like something that you've done that you see as, oh, I actually was really harsh, but you know that it was for a good reason?
So that's actually a perfect setup, because like, you know, there's so many stories that, you know, that you learn about, right? Everybody doesn't learn the same, right? If you have a student, you know, you're teaching them like popping, some people pick it up real quick, and some people, they need a little bit more like time with you to practice, more repetition, right? Same way, some people learn by being nice. You just tell them once and they'll listen. Some people, you really got to drill it in their head, right? It's like everybody has different learning methods and different ways of like, you know, getting better. But the fact that you are still teaching them or still working with them is your compassion, because you want them to, not suffer as much. Compassion is wanting someone else to not suffer as much, right? Mm-hmm. And so what is that quality of being able to distinguish what that person needs is your wisdom. So some people, it's not about like being nice to everybody. Like, I can see how that would become a problem. And that's not being able to be wise, because like, the Buddha taught you need both compassion and wisdom. Because if you're just nice all the time, people will use you.
Yep.
But if you're wise all the time and you're not compassionate at all, that's how you kill others.
Yep.
It's like Journey to the West, right? What did Wukong represent? Wukong represented wisdom without compassion.
Oh, is that really?
Yeah, so he could, like, the story about Journey to the West, like the three?
No, tell me.
So there was the water nymph, right? The pig, and then the monkey king. So these, when they wrote the story, those three represented the qualities of a cultivator that he experiences through his journey to the West to collect the sutras and attain enlightenment. Whoa. So his cultivation life, okay?
It was about enlightenment? I did not know that.
So what these three qualities that travels with the monk throughout his life to go to, his cultivation like journey or whatever, his spiritual journey, right? Yeah. Is that the monkey represents wisdom without compassion. Okay. So what that means is that if you notice Wukong, he could see the demons for their real form, right? Yeah. But what did he always want to do? He always wanted to kill them. Yeah. Right? So he could see the truth, but he always wanted to kill them. And then, like the monk, his master was like, no, you can't do that. Like he's compassion.
But he doesn't have the wisdom.
Yeah. You see that? Oh. So that was what they were both missing. Now the pig represents like laxness, lust, like
gluttony.
Yeah, gluttony. Like all these qualities are all within that person. And the last person, the water nymph, right, he represents basically like not being like too timid, not choosing to do, not the action, right?
More calm, more reserved, like the opposite of the pig, because the pig is like, give me more, right? Oh, wow. I did not know that. But what's interesting is all of those qualities can be in one person too. Like
that's what that story represents.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So when you learned about that, how did you kind of apply it? Like, how when we listen to music, watch movies, we consume media, like when do we actually apply these lessons to our life, and how does that even look like, Because for me, let's say I just learned this story, right? Mm-hmm. Now it's got me thinking, like, I instantly go into my brain and go, I need to process like what I just learned. And then I go, okay, wisdom without compassion, is that me? And I compare whatever I learn to my own actions, my own and whatever. And I start to, look deeply, as that guy would say. He would say to take a moment, pause, and then look deeply, right? So what does that look like? I think when I look deeply into myself, I see, okay, do I have wisdom? Maybe a little more than others, but I don't think I'm the wisest, because I feel like there's still so much to experience. I have gone through some experience that made me a little wiser, right? And then there's compassion. Obviously, you got to be nice, but where do you draw that line of like, okay, should I be nice to everyone because that's just who I am? Or should I try to use what I learned in the past to kind of like take a step back and like, oh, I need to reserve my niceness for those that deserve it? Like who says that, right? Who gets to draw that line, right? That's kind of what I'm processing right now just from hearing that. But honestly, the answer really lies in what's going to happen next. Like, it doesn't even apply yet until I experience something where I need to be nice, or where I need to be like a little bit more aggressive, or like maybe it'll pop up again in some form later on. But that's what I automatically default to. I just take those qualities and I compare it to myself. Yeah, that's how I kind of view it right now. But what about you?
I think that, like, for example, right, like it's not like one way or the other, where like we're either lacking completely in compassion or like lacking completely in wisdom. But then like I think that we have traces of each, but then in times of like moments that we react, things happen, we tend to either miss one or the other, because like we either react too fast and we don't think about it, or a situation happens where it's like challenging us to learn how to be better at one or the other.
What's a good example of I am wise, but I'm compassionate? Like, what's a good example? Like, let's try and make up a situation. Or like, let's say somebody took something from you, right? You have a choice. Should I try to get it back? Should I, be angry? Should I cut them off? Like, there's so many options here, but how do you know what to choose? That's where the wisdom comes in.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The wisdom will tell you, like, well, based off of what you've seen and what's happened in the past, or what the patterns of usual people are, if you forgive this person, then they could potentially screw you over again, or they can learn from it, right? That's one option. Other option is you cut them off, you lose a friend, that's it. That's where the wisdom comes in. It allowed me to kind of foresee like one step potentially further, right? And then here's now I go back to the compassion part. All right, as a compassionate person, which one's going to bring less suffering? See, that's where I kind of find the balance. What I would do personally is first I would use my wisdom and go, okay, what kind of person is this? What's their history? Whatever. I would start to basically study, right? I would do the studying and using all my resources, my experience to try to gain more knowledge, whatever. And then I weigh the pros and cons, right? I do all the logical stuff first, and then I go to my heart and I go, okay, well, now how do I feel about that? I go, okay, it hurts me more, and I think it's going to hurt them more if I go this route. So I don't want to get anyone, no one needs to be hurt for something this small or whatever. You gauge it, right? And then I go, okay, but this route, less people get hurt, but there's a potential for growth. Okay, I'm going to go that path, because it feels better, right? So I think that's something that is kind of like, you're not going to get it down like right away. Like I only know this from experience because it's happened to me in the past, where someone stole from me and I just completely shut out everything, cut it off, never, just let it go completely. And honestly, that path I noticed brought more like of a grudge feeling, more of a negative feeling, and that I held on to, not on purpose either, that kind of felt weird. And so I was like, okay, well, that person, I don't think I could ever see myself being friends with them anymore because of how I felt, and I didn't like how I felt either, because I decided to just cut it off, right? Sometimes it's okay to do that because like some people just don't deserve to have your time because you respect yourself too much, right? You don't want to bring yourself down now either. And that's another point I want to make too, is when you're too nice, you could actually be disrespecting your own body, your own self, and your own feelings by letting someone else slide. Like, oh, I'm okay with them taking advantage of me. Like, that's not good either. Yeah. Yeah, I learned a lot about that, like just from my past experiences of like people letting me down, disappointing me, whatever, trying to harm me or whatever. Usually I draw the line at like, oh, this person is like intentionally trying to harm me versus this is just an accident. I personally draw the line where if I know someone's intentionally trying to hurt me because they're either like scared, they're acting on their emotion, that they're not being compassionate. What is more important to you? Having the balance of wisdom, compassion, and making the right decision, or you just make a decision, you learn, because that's how you gain wisdom too. Like what would you rather choose?
I personally want to develop whatever I choose. I wish to develop both that wisdom and that compassion. There's degrees, right? There's degrees of like helping other people, but you can't help other people like someone's drowning, for example, right? You can't jump in there and try to save them from drowning if you're drowning too.
If you don't know how to swim.
Yeah. Self-compassion is very important too.
How important?
Very important.
Like compared to just general compassion, how important is it for you to love yourself? Like where is that scale? Is it equally important, or like, where do you think that is?
Per person it would vary.
Yeah, for you.
For me, I think it's very important to be like balanced so that I keep running, like taking care of myself so that I can keep taking care of others. That's part of my compassionate vow, is not just for others, but also for myself. And I learned that like way later on, like in my, like this beginning of my 30s was when I finally learned like self-compassion, self-love. I thought, I don't need this. I want to help others. But I was so focused on that it eventually drained me. Like you're giving so much energy out, but you're not nurturing yourself.
Yeah. How do you water that? How do you nurture your self-compassion? Because I know a lot of people that never think inward like that, and they never water themselves. How would you kind of explain that or teach that to someone that's so used to giving and enabling others and like pouring outwardly? How would you kind of get them to do a U-turn and go, hey, give to yourself?
Yeah, by sitting still and being aware. You know what I mean? Like, it's so important. You hear like a lot of, people can only meet you as much as they've met themselves, right?
What does that mean?
So like, for example, like if I'm like constantly observing, constantly like learning. I like was in a state when I was a lot younger that I was like angry at everyone in the world. I lost a lot of people in my life, right? And I didn't know how to express this other than, by being angry and agitated at everything that happened. But I just realized that it was an inner state of myself reflecting outward. And the more that I grew, the more that I had practiced, the more that I became more aware of that, I realized that, now that I'm more calm, I can receive things a lot easier. And I'm not reacting with, like anger anymore. I'm reacting with like, listening or like compassion or like even just with wisdom, right? Just like being able to observe this and react according to how I wish to react now.
Well, there's sometimes you do need a little bit of anger to express to others, hey, this is important to me, or like you need to listen to me because with like, let's say going back to the too timid to whatever, nobody's gonna listen. So sometimes, is there situations where anger is required?
Yes, I do. Because if you think about the story of Journey to the West, the monk never got rid of those 3 disciples, right? He took them with him. Like, I feel like emotion, right? Emotion, your sadness, right? Your anger, all these things are important. It's not a bad thing to have, right? But it's just like, how do you use it? Are you using it compassionately with wisdom? Or are you using it because you just can't like control how you react to things? Like let's say, for example, I have a lot of like students, right? I also have younger co-workers that I lead, for example, right? Yeah. And if I want them to understand things at a level where, like, for example, right, this person, like, remember before I was talking about like person A listens when you just tell them, person B needs a little bit of a motivational push, right? This person, they both look up to you, right? Right. And this person, you just tell them and they'll do it right away. But this person, that like, because it's your compassionate, like vow to help this person, right? To help them to grow into a better individual as a mentor. Yeah. Then you have to be a little bit more stern. Oh. But then they still listen because they respect you. Okay. You know what I mean? So like, it's like you need both ways. Yeah. Like you can't discard your emotions. You can't discard anger. Like this will happen naturally. But how are you using it? Is it controlling you? Or are you using it as a tool? I like that saying where you can't discard anger. Because you hear a lot of people go like, oh, you need to control your emotions. You need to let go of your anger. You need to whatever, all the negative stuff, get it out of here. You hear that a lot, right? But I think you don't hear enough of like you can't let go of that. You have to understand it. You have to learn it. You have to kind of utilize it in a way that's beneficial for everyone, right? Because that's what being a human is. Like you're not supposed to never be angry.
You're not supposed to never be calm.
My master used to be mad at us all the time, and he's like a 90-year-old, like, you know.
What would he get mad at you at?
The little things I do, like pretty stupid things.
Okay.
I'll go around, like, you know, for example, right? Everyone's meditating in the room, and then like I would sneak out, just try to head back to my room to leave meditation early. That was when I was like a really young monk.
That's fun.
And then he would catch me in the hallway, and he'd start yelling at me, and I was like, okay, now I'm gonna go back. But he's doing it out of compassion, you know. He wants me to get better.
He wants you to learn discipline and all that. Dang, that's really fun, man. Man. I wonder if I would ever become a monk in a different life. Definitely not this life, because it's already too late for me, because I feel like I really figured out what I wanted to do already. But let's say I had to hit the reset button, never did dancing, never did anything. I think I would do it. Just because, like, let's say I had the mindfulness that I have now in my younger self. I would want to know what it's like to, like, what's it like in a temple? What's it like to live in the mountains? Like, what is it like to do the more simple things? Just out of curiosity, and see how I would view the earth from this lens of, like, no noise, no social media, no internet, just living in the world, and see what that's like. I think maybe when I'm an old man and I'm like done with everything, I'll probably try it out. But I don't know, who knows?
There was definitely like, well, two things, right?
Okay.
First thing was that, like, and used to have a saying in temple, right? That, like, why cultivate when you're old, when you can't do it anymore? Because you have this whole lifetime of, like, situated habits that are hard to change. Because what is cultivation? What is being a monk? Right? That's the second thing. Being a monk, or, you know, living in a monastery, being a nun or a monk, or, you know, however you want to address that term. Yeah. But, like, it just means being able to practice your awareness. Okay. Right? The whole point of us entering into a monastery or living in the mountains is just to push out the extra external noise so you can focus. It's to help you. But reality is, the mind is always with you. You're going to always be in, like, you know, like, living out in the world, right? Because think about it now, like, there's a lot of hard times to do transactions with the community, like going shopping, for example, without you entering back into the community and going shopping, right?
Yeah.
For groceries or whatnot, right? There is community still involved. You can't just you
can't erase it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of times where monastics are still going into the communities, you know, even Theravadan, when they're doing alms rounds, for example, they're still still going into the communities and then still asking for offerings. So you're still going to be situated in the community. That's why, like, temple, they teach you, you don't need to be a monk to cultivate, you know, but it's easier for us because you're going to a school for it.
Yeah,
you know,
because you're starting from the basics, pretty much, with the environment to help you cultivate even easier than a regular environment, which is, like, so busy and it's hard. I think that's the thing. That's why people find it so hard, is because they're not in a monastery, because they're in their day-to-days, and it's like, why is it so hard to slow down? It's because it is hard. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
You know,
like
that it's not supposed to be easy, because if it was, everyone would get it.
Yeah.
You know, everyone would get it. But that goes back to the saying, like, you got to have some sort of sacrifice if you want to gain something, right? For most people is, I want to gain peace of mind. I want to gain wealth, good health, whatever positive things. You're not just going to get that handed to you unless you were born into it, right? Or you had, like, good karma or whatever, and you were born into this life where you got everything, you know? But then that's the thing. People need to understand that if you want all these things that are nice in life, like, you have to give something, your time, your effort, your attention. You need to give outward and put something in to receive these things back, right? It's not just going to happen without practice. But yeah, that's mindfulness for you. Okay, everybody take a deep breath again. That's it. That's the end of the show. Thank you for watching. I hope you find peace in your life. If you don't, you can come back and join us. We're all going to talk about it together and figure it out.
In a pond. Yeah.
1 koi, 2 kois. We're all here swimming around. We'll see you next time. Thank you for... Oh, wait, hold on. Before I end the show, I have a message I almost forgot about. See? Mindfulness. I almost forgot. So I had a guest here yesterday. His message was speak things into existence. So that's the message to you. How do you feel about that?
You know, energy works miraculously, right? Like everything's like, for me, I see everything like interconnected from like my thoughts, right? My actions and words, right? So speaking things into existence comes from intent, right? Your intent to do something. Speaking may be especially for, you know, like, for me, it's like, I'm vowing to do something if I talk about it. If I I'm going to do something, then it's like me personally vowing, I'm going to achieve that. I'm going to put that as a goal and I'm going to go for it. So the importance for me with that saying is like, yeah, dude, speak it into existence. Make sure that you're actually going to go for it. You know, I'll put that energy for that energy to start working its way to transform, to happen.
From 0 to 100%, how likely is it that once you put your mind to something, it's going to happen? How likely for you?
There's probably like 80, 85. 80? The reason why is that like I'm never in control of how things will always happen. Right?
True.
Like, I don't know if like, you know, like for example, when we were shooting the music video, I don't know if everyone's going to show up. You know, what if something happens that day and then what am I going to do? You know, like I have all these like, you know, scenarios appearing in my head all the time. And so I'm like, at least I go for it. At least go for it. You know what I mean?
Try to aim for 100%, but you know it's not always going to be 100%, right? Yeah. So, okay, I know you had a message last time, which was appreciate the moment. I remember that. So now, moving forward to the next guest, you don't know who they are, but you got to tell them the next message. What would that message be?
What would you choose to keep and what would you choose to change about yourself?
Okay, that's a good one. Self-reflection.
Yeah.
That's good. What would you choose to keep about yourself and what would you let go based off of your current awareness? That's cool, man. I'm going to think about that today. You guys should definitely think about that too. I think it's a good exercise in general if you're trying to practice awareness, mindfulness, all that good stuff. And if you're trying to bring peace into your life, it all starts right here.
Right now. You are the monk. You are the monk.
Yes, you are the monk. Okay. Well, thank you for listening, guys. If you guys learned something from this podcast, please give us a like, follow us, subscribe. Check out Yin's stuff. He's a great musician. Have a good one, guys.